Good evening. Welcome back to Ponzinomics. I'm Alex.
Steady, lads. I'm Sam. Welcome to the show.
Those of you who know crypto will recognize that phrase. Those of you who don't, you will by the end of this episode. Because today, we're going to South Korea, to a man named Kwon, a cryptocurrency called Luna, and the single fastest destruction of $45 billion in financial history.
1 week, $45 billion, gone like the night before the dawn.
This is Terra Luna, founded by Kwon, Stanford computer science graduate, former software engineer at Microsoft and Apple, co-founder of ElevenLabs in 2018. By 2022, he was one of the most prominent figures in crypto, charismatic, brilliant, and absolutely certain that anyone who disagreed with him was an idiot.
He was known for publicly mocking his critics. On Twitter. Constantly. Anyone who questioned Luna or TerraUSD got ratioed, insulted, or dismissed. He had a name for people who bet against Luna.
He called them poor.
Yeah, he called them poor, as in, you're shorting my coin because you're too poor to understand it. Have fun staying poor. This is the man who created a $45 billion ecosystem, and his primary mode of public communication was calling critics broke on social media.
In April 2022, at the absolute peak of Luna's value, Luna hit over $116 a token. Kwon announced the birth of his daughter. He named her Luna.
Of course he did. He named his daughter after his coin.
He posted publicly, "My dearest creation, named after my greatest invention."
His greatest invention. Which at that point was worth $45 billion. Which, we should mention, collapsed to virtually zero about 3 weeks later.
Yes.
Luna, the daughter, not the coin. She's presumably fine.
So what was it? Terra was a blockchain. Luna was its native cryptocurrency. And TerraUSD, UST, was what's called a stablecoin, a coin designed to always be worth exactly $1. Stable. Safe. The bedrock of the ecosystem.
Most stablecoins are backed by actual dollars, such as treasury bills, or actual assets. You put $1 in, you get a dollar coin out. Simple.
TerraUSD was different. It was what's called an algorithmic stablecoin. It wasn't backed by real dollars. It maintained its $1 peg through a mathematical relationship with Luna. The algorithm worked like this. If TerraUSD fell below $1, you could burn TerraUSD to mint new Luna, which was supposed to restore the peg. If Luna fell, you could burn Luna to mint TerraUSD. The two coins were designed to stabilize each other.
Through maths.
Through maths.
So it was backed by confidence and an algorithm. Not dollars, not gold, not assets. Just the mathematical relationship between two coins that Kwon had also created.
Correct. And it had worked. For 2 years, it had held the peg, which gave people enormous confidence. There was also a lending protocol called Anchor that was paying 20% annual interest on TerraUSD deposits.
20%.
20%. Guaranteed. Annual returns.
Totally normal. Totally sustainable. Nothing to see here.
Critics pointed out repeatedly that 20% returns on a stablecoin backed by nothing but maths was not a business model. It was a time bomb. Kwon called them poor.
What else would he call them?
On the 7th of May, 2022, several large investors sold over $285 million worth of TerraUSD on Binance. Whether this was coordinated or not, we don't know. What we know is what happened next.
The peg broke.
Yeah, the peg broke. TerraUSD slipped below $1. Not by much, it hit 98 cents. But that was enough. People who deposited TerraUSD for that 20% return started getting nervous. They started withdrawing, which put more pressure on the peg, which caused more withdrawals.
And then the algorithm kicked in.
Exactly. To restore the peg, the system started minting new Luna. But minting new Luna meant there was more Luna in circulation. More supply means lower price. Luna started falling, which meant the algorithmic backing for TerraUSD was worth less, which meant TerraUSD fell further, which meant more Luna was minted, which meant Luna fell further.
I believe the technical term used by those in the know is a death spiral.
It was a textbook death spiral. Luna went from over $100 to, within 1 week, a fraction of a cent. Not $1, not a penny, a fraction of a cent. TerraUSD, the coin designed to always be worth $1, fell to 10 cents.
$45 billion of market capitalization. It took 1 week.
And throughout this, as the spiral was happening, in real time, as people were losing their life savings, Kwon tweeted.
What did he tweet?
Steady lads, deploying more capital.
Steady lads. Deploying more capital.
While $45 billion was evaporating. While 200,000 South Korean retail investors were watching their savings disappear. While people were having mental health crises, there were reports of investors calling suicide hotlines. Steady lads, deploying more capital.
This is the thing that makes this different from the others. SBF at least went quiet when it collapsed. Skilling resigned. Kwon was tweeting encouragement at people while their money burned. Hubris or delusion?
Within days of the collapse, South Korean authorities launched investigations. Arrest warrants were issued. Kwon's passport was invalidated. An Interpol red notice was issued. And Kwon, who had been very loud on social media, finally went very quiet indeed.
Where did he go?
He disappeared. For months, nobody knew. South Korean authorities believed he was in Serbia. He was eventually arrested in March 2023 at an airport in Montenegro, trying to board a flight to Dubai.
And what was he traveling on?
Fake Costa Rican documents.
Did you see the meme of his Costa Rican passport with a huge moustache on his photo and the name Don Kwon?
Yes, you sent it to me yesterday. He was also found to be carrying fake Belgian documents. So, 2 sets of forged passports. The man who had spent 2 years calling his critics poor and stupid was fleeing through a Balkan airport with fake papers.
The smartest guy in the room.
It gets better. After his arrest in Montenegro, while in custody, South Korean prosecutors found evidence that he had withdrawn approximately $35 million in cash.
While in custody. How does that even happen? He just got a quick pass out from a jail cell to extract $35 million in cash from the bank.
Crazy, right?
The audacity of this man is genuinely staggering.
He spent over a year fighting extradition. Montenegro, the courts, appeals, the Supreme Court, before eventually being extradited to the United States on New Year's Eve, 2024.
New Year's Eve. What a way to see in 2025.
He pleaded guilty to 2 counts of fraud in August 2025. And in December 2025, he was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison.
And a quick fun fact I spotted on X, formerly Twitter as it then was, Kwon backwards is now KO'd, which, given everything, seems rather fitting. But here's what gets me. People knew. Before the collapse, serious credible analysts were pointing out that an algorithmic stablecoin paying 20% guaranteed returns, backed by nothing but maths, was structurally impossible. They said it publicly. They were mocked publicly. And the money kept flowing in.
200,000 South Korean retail investors. Many of them had borrowed money to invest. Some lost everything. The mental health impact was significant enough that crisis lines reported spikes in calls. This isn't abstract institutional money. These are people who believed a charismatic founder on Twitter and put their savings in.
And he named his daughter after it.
There's also a question about whether Kwon knew earlier than he admitted. The SEC alleged that in May 2021, a full year before the collapse, TerraUSD had briefly lost its peg, and that Kwon had secretly sought third-party financing to prop it up, then publicly claimed the recovery was due to algorithmic stability. If true, he knew the algorithm alone couldn't hold it, and he kept telling people it could.
Steady, lads.
Steady, lads.
The mechanism is always the same. Borrow confidence from the future. Tell people it's fine. Hope it holds long enough. And when it doesn't, run.
Except this time he ran with fake passports and got caught in an airport.
Small mercies. Anyway, what did we learn?
That backed by maths is not the same as backed by anything. That 20% guaranteed returns on a stablecoin is not a business model, it's a countdown timer. That the loudest, most confident voice in the room is not always, is almost never, the most trustworthy one. And that when someone calls everyone who questions them poor, that person is afraid of the question.
A man called his daughter after a coin. The coin went to zero. He fled the country on fake Belgian documents. He was caught in an airport in Montenegro. He withdrew 35 million in cash while in custody. And he is now doing 15 years in a US federal prison. Steady, lads.
Next episode, we go to Germany, a payments company called Wirecard that convinced regulators, auditors, and the Financial Times that it was the future of European fintech. Spoiler, it wasn't. 1.9 billion euros turned out to simply not exist.
This time it's different, right?
It never is.